Right?
Said shut up.
You curse the poor girl.
No!
A quick spoiler alert before we begin. Stop if you don't want the juiciest tidbits from episode 6. Now, Sister Sage getting shot in the head by MM was a massive development. She did get back to her senses later on, but her mind has been left simple and rather dysfunctional. Does this mean the damage is permanent? Well, in this video, we will explore if the bullet will cause a permanent damage to her. If not, how long will she be down? And what will be the repercussions of her inability to mother Homelander? I would also talk about her future in the show. So, without further ado, let's get down to business. But I think it would be more prudent to quickly bring you up to speed about Sister Sage's plot in episode 6. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
What happened to you?
How did Sage end up with a bullet in her head? I am sure you're here after watching the episode, but if you're not, you, my friend, are brave enough to brave heavy spoilers. So, I will quickly take you through the series of events that actually led to Sister Sage getting shot. Now, Webweaver, the Spider-Man spoof who loves Zendaya, was one of the people invited by Tech Knight to his mansion for a Federalist Society party. This was nothing more than the top brass of US politics and industry, so much so that the list of invitees made up at least 38% of the US GDP. The boys knew that something was cooking and realized that the only way to get inside was through Webweaver. So yeah, Huey dons Webweaver's costume and walks in through the front door, but Webweaver was supposed to audition for a sidekick role to Tech Knight, who takes Huey to his tech cave. Yeah, Tech Knight is totally a spoof of the Dark Knight, and much like the Batcave, there's also a tech cave. But this one is not filled with weapons and vehicles. This one's filled with all sorts of, sex toys, tools, and basically a red room. As soon as Huey reached here, his comm stopped working and the boys, convinced by Starlight, got inside the mansion to rescue Huey. Kimiko and MM bumped into Sister Sage at the library, which also housed the entrance to the cave. MM points a gun at Sister Sage, but she starts to play mind games with him. You see, she was even tracking MM's daughter, Janine, who was recently expelled from school on account of some violent and rash behavior against a fellow student, who, in my opinion, totally deserved it. Anyway, MM was struggling to keep his calm, and in a moment of heat, he shot Sister Sage in the head.
Hey, look at me. Get a grip on yourself.
What happened after? So later, when Homelander, Sister Sage, and Victoria Newman meet with 1% of the 1%, Homelander starts his big speech about a little high treason, but he is cut short by the people who ask him some tough questions. You see, Homelander only knew what he wanted, like a child, but had little to no idea about how to get what he wanted, which is why he got Sage to help him out. Anyway, the bullet to her head initially knocked her out cold, but the thing about Sage is that her brain regenerates. Stab her in the heart, she dies. But stab her in the head, she survives. So yeah, her brain did its thing once again, and Sage managed to get back up. But the damage had been done, and she was left simple. Needless to say, Homelander's meeting did not go as he had planned. I mean, apart from Newman, there was no one who could possibly help him in this situation. He was, in fact, about to cry and looked super uncomfortable at how he was made to realize that he was just a freaking V'd-up man-child. But, I'm digressing a lot. So yeah, Sister Sage proved pretty damned useless when Homelander needed him the most. In fact, the episode ended without telling us if she would ever come back as, smart as she once was. But that's what we are here to decipher. Is the damage permanent? In the 4th episode of the 4th season, Sage asks for a little help from the Deep. She casually asks him to stick an orbitoclast up her optical cavity and right into the brain. She was offering him to stick whatever he wanted, wherever he wants. And, knowing the Deep, it's no surprise that he agreed. Now, the interesting thing is that she tells the Deep how her brain functions. I have already mentioned how her brain basically regenerates, much like Kimiko's body parts. The way the Deep stuck that ice pick-like instrument instrument in her brain was pretty disturbing to watch. Needless to say, the damage it would do to a normal person would be pretty much irreversible. But Sister Sage says that stabbing her with a knife in her brain would not be fatal to her, let alone she won't die. The brain would not take long to fix itself completely. This can only mean that there's a strong possibility that Sister Sage's bullet wound will also heal. Think about it. She was able to get back up and walk to the secret meeting, right? She was sitting there and following Homelander's orders. In no way did she seem hurt or in pain. All that bullet did was give Sage a happy high. This is exactly what happened when she asked the Deep to perform the said lobotomy. She wanted the brain damage because it was the only way she could escape being who she was for a while. She's the smartest person in any room. When she's alone, her mind cannot possibly stop itself from thinking about all the things in the world. However, all of this brainstorming puts a lot of pressure on her. She wants an escape, an out, and just wants to chill at times. You know, you can't blame a woman for wanting some fun, right? However, this does pose a serious question. How long will her brain take to recover fully? You see, although the lobotomy and the gunshot had more or less the same effect on Sister Sage, her poor mental state will make things problematic for Homelander. Or let's keep Homelander in her future for the next entry. Let's first talk about the effect that the bullet wound would have on her and how long it would last. So, the lobotomy was not as serious a trauma as a bullet shot from a couple of meters. Sister Sage will be down for a much longer duration this time around. Unlike the lobotomy, which was pretty much controlled and lighter, the bullet must have messed up her entire brain as it swam from one side of the brain to the other. I mean, think about it. She took probably an entire night to get off the effects of the lobotomy, and she was fully conscious during the whole process. So I'm assuming that she would take much more time to get healed from a trauma that knocked her out cold. Also, we don't see an exit wound, so the bullet is still lodged into her brain, and extracting it would make another barf-worthy scene. So, what happens to her now? What happens next in Sage's story arc? Well, she's pretty darn useless to Homelander until she doesn't heal, right? So that comes first. Homelander was extremely dependent on Sister Sage with everything that was going around. You know, the coup, finding out the mole, and other things. But now that she has been left simple, his plans have met a massive roadblock. Additionally, the longer she stays that way, the safer A-Train will be. I mean, no one but Sister Sage was after the mole, and although they know that Cameron Coleman was not the mole, there's literally no way of finding out who it is. Without Sage, Homelander must be feeling pretty helpless. But, and it's a big but, he now has Firecracker feeding him, so he's gonna be his baby, like he was once Madeline Stillwell's baby. She is gonna be the mommy figure to him, and she will have ample leverage and influence on him. Although she wants to serve him and has agreed to do anything for him, she is dumb-witted herself, so her pieces of advice would be equally disastrous. As for Sister Sage, it's also possible that she doesn't come back to her full form throughout the 4th season, and has a change of heart in the next one. She anyway relates with Newman and finds herself to be nothing more than a tool that men use to get their issues in order. No matter what, she would not die or get sidelined just yet. She's a pretty crucial character to the show, someone who can turn things around, and she's one of the few people who can talk back to Homelander, which brings me to my next question. Is Sage gonna flip on Homelander with Newman and become the Brutus to his Caesar? I think it's very much possible that Sister Sage ditches Homelander. You see, the very first time that these two met, they spoke about Caesar's story, where Homelander addresses himself as Caesar. Since then, there has been speculations that someone from the inside would ditch him and become his Brutus. It was speculated that it would be our boy, Ryan, but that seems rather unlikely since Homelander is giving him whatever he wants. A daddy he never had, and one who lets him be brutal, cold, and cruel. So the next best guess is Sister Sage. In the 6th episode, she and Newman speak about how men treat women of their status as nothing but crying children, and the best way to win against these men is by putting one hand in their pockets while slitting their damn throats with the other. Victoria and Sage. Both these women are playing pawns at the hands of a man who is intellectually far inferior to them, and they know it. So why are they doing this? Well, it's pretty simple. Both of them need Homelander and the other weirdos to get what they want. It would be going over the top to say that Sage is keeping her friends close and enemies closer by working with Homelander, but you know, it's very much possible. Marvelous verdict. No matter what, Season 4 will have to have something really exciting going on by the end, or else the show will lose its charm. I mean, the only interesting plot points in the season are the ones from the older seasons. We definitely need one massive showdown between Homelander and Butcher. Some slick action to gulp down all the nasty sex shit that the show so beautifully presents. Speaking of which, oh boy, the way that they have insulted Spider-Man, late Mr. Stan Lee would have been angry in his bones. And that joke about Zendaya, oh my god, brutally hilarious and intelligent. Hope you guys stick around for more Marvelous The Boys videos. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us. If you haven't already, have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.